Hello, everyone. We are back for another OnTap session, and I am extremely honored to be on today's session with the one and only Lance Owide. Did I say that correct? I always butcher your last name, by the way. So,
Spot on, Josh. Thank you
oh,
so much for having me today. I'm so excited to
amazing.
be talking with you.
Awesome. So Lance and I have known each other for a few years. I practically had to pay him to come on to today's session and say all the really nice things about me online, but really excited. So Lance, do you really just quickly you want to explain to everyone who you are and what you do at BigCommerce?
Yeah, of course. He's paying me with Arctic Leaf swag. That's how it's
Yeah,
going.
that is accurate. I am sending him a box of swag right after this. So
It is accurate. There's some bribery occurring here, just so we're clear. I'm upfront about that. I'll declare it. I'm fine with that.
that's all you got to do, people, is just send him a bunch of swag and it'll show up on your webinars and on tap sessions. So
Exactly. Well, thank you so much for having me on, Josh. As you say, we've known each other for a couple of years, and I love what you and Arctic Leaf do. The sites that you build, the work that you and the team do is just fantastic. So, really excited for this discussion. For those who don't know me and don't know BigCommerce, I'm Lance Owide. I'm the general manager for B2B at BigCommerce. I'm responsible for the success of manufacturers, distributors, and wholesalers on our platform. BigCommerce, we're a SaaS e-commerce platform. We provide the tools for manufacturers, distributors, wholesalers to be able to sell online and build seamless omni-channel buying experiences. That's our goal, that's our vision, and that's what we enable the B2B businesses that use our platform to do.
amazing. He's a lot more important than that, I promise you. But that was a great summary. And for those of you who don't know me, I am Josh Grelick. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Arctic Leaf. We are a almost 14-year-old agency focusing on digital transformations for companies in the e-commerce ecosystem, generally working with brands doing about 10 million online and about 25 to 50 million offline, and help with everything from design, development, implementation, and retention marketing. Little housekeeping. This is on tap, so you must have a beverage. So if you don't, go get one. But I'm drinking. What am I doing? I'm doing a watermelon sparkling water today. But if alcohol your tickles your fancy, that's also fine too. It's 5 o'clock somewhere. So we'll kick it off. So what are we going to talk about today? So this is all about B2B. Lance is the master of B2B. So we're going to talking about trends pushing B2B online, challenges of digitalization, right? All about omni-channel, right? You got to be everywhere. It can't just be in one channel anymore. How do you overall improve your margins in the B2B brands? And then how to be effective with small improvements. So that's really something that I'm really big about is I believe micro improvements have a massive abilities to show change. So it doesn't always have to be these massive digital transportation transformations. It could be just micro improvements, and you can see a lot of downtail improvements overall. So to kick it off and start is just kind of like getting a lay of the land. What is B2B e-commerce and like how is it growing? So I'll just ask Lance to kind of set the foundation, and foundation is going to be a word you're going to hear a few times on today's session. But Lance, tell us all about kind of B2B e-commerce and where is it going?
Yeah, sure. It comes as probably no surprise to anyone who would be listening, watching that B2B e-commerce is growing. But folks are usually quite surprised when they see just how much it is growing and how fast it is growing. So in 2022, about 17% of B2B transactions occurred online. If we go back another couple of years, that number is down about 12%, right? So it's grown about 5% in just a few years. But the really staggering figure is that by 2030, 39% of B2B transactions will occur online. That number is staggering, and that growth is huge from 17% up to 39%. Of course, these are projections. We'll see where that goes, but the trend is pointing towards this being correct. And there's really been a step function change. A lot of people like to say the pandemic kind of turbocharged this. In my mind, this was happening anyway. The pandemic kind of gave it a kick in the butt, the move online for B2B that B2C has been, doing for years and years. We were just playing catch up over here in B2B. But what you really started to see was that larger and larger transactions started to move online. And so, pre-pandemic 2019, small transactions for a few $1,000s occurring online all the time. But now the purchase of large scale to order manufacturing equipment is happening online. Big ticket items for hundreds of thousands of dollars, millions of dollars online. Those millions of dollars, those orders are being placed online. And that is turbocharging that growth. And so the customers that we meet with, and there are lots of them that come to BigCommerce that still aren't transacting online. There are lots of B2B businesses. I met actually with a few of them yesterday. Big manufacturing distribution conglomerate, $1 billion plus in revenue, total revenue, not transacting online, but they are going to go live by the end of the year, hopefully on BigCommerce, with 5 brands transacting online. And what we're seeing is that growth is being powered both by demands from the company, the companies themselves who want to be more efficient, and from the demands from buyers. The buyers who want to shop online because that's what they're used to. That's how it's more efficient for them. It is better for the buyer if they can self-serve those orders, if they can track an order, reorder, etc. We'll dive into that, I'm sure, a lot more. But that's the growth that we're seeing that's being projected. Pretty much every analyst out there agrees. And so when we meet with B2B businesses that aren't online yet, we show them these figures. They realize they got to get a move on or risk being left behind.
Yeah, it's funny. We're kind of seeing the same influx of opportunities are kind of happening as well. Like there's 3 or 4 that we've just in the process of having conversations with. One's a Vancouver automotive based distributor, right? Doing like $20,000 lift transactions online, right? We had a prospect we spoke to last year that were selling $150,000 tractors online, right? Like literally those big augers and things like that. So I think you kind of hit the nail on the head where you talked about, B2B transactions were always there. They just weren't as prominent, and COVID kind of grew everything. What we say is like 10 years in 10 months. That's kind of like the saying that everyone kind of uses. Katie, you mind moving to the next slide really quick? So just kind of like just showing how big of an industry this is. $20 trillion in 2022 was done in B2B, and that's 5x higher than a B2C marketplace, right? So Lance, can you just talk about like what are companies doing right now that are really helping them kind of transact and kind of catch up with the times, right? And we see this in other verticals as well. Real estate is a perfect example. Like there's still HOAs that are running things on paper. Like I talk to these companies, brands all the time, and I'm just like, how do you operate $100 million worth of real estate on paper? And I think that it's the same idea. It's moving in the right direction. So I'm curious, in your opinion, like what are you seeing? Like how are companies doing more online?
Yeah, well, in different ways is the answer. It all starts with the buyer, right? What does the buyer, how does the buyer transact, and how do they want to transact? What are their processes? What are their jobs to be done? And can they be moved online and be made more efficient online? And that starts from the very beginning of that journey and ends with the servicing of the item that they may have bought. And I think that's a really important point that often gets missed is online in D2C and B2C is about product, in-cart, checkout. In B2B, that's not the case. It's about a lot more than that. It's about the entire life cycle of this B2B relationship that these two businesses have. And the online aspect can represent a lot more than just item in a cart and checkout. And so it starts with product discovery, right? How do you find the products? So businesses who aren't online today, well, maybe they're sending out catalogs, and that's how they're distributing information about the products that they have on offer. Well, You move that online, suddenly your product is findable. Your products are findable on Google. Your catalog is searchable. That's a first step. And that can be a big step for some distributors out there who may not have digital catalogs, who aren't visible online. When you then take that first step, now you've opened up your potential customer base by being findable on the internet and online, which can be hugely beneficial. Okay, we've got our product catalog up there. Now we can start thinking about transactions, right? And processing some of those transactions. We start processing transactions. Now we've got a cart and a checkout. What are we going to do next? Maybe it's quoting, maybe it's invoicing. And once we're past that, it's servicing. How am I thinking about servicing, warranties, support for these customers? We kind of call it, and I like to call it, the crawl, walk, run, and fly process of B2B. And companies from tens of billions of dollars all the way to mom and pop shops doing a couple of $1 million are following that process as they move online. And everything in that life cycle, how can you make it more self-serve and move those processes into your e-commerce site? But starts with product discovery, search, simple, transacting. Then let's move on to some of those more complicated buyer workflows. And finally, we're going to fly. We're going to move warranties and product repair online as well.
Yeah, we saw that last year with the merchant where they had some very, very complex warranty flows and insurance products and things like that, where you'd scan, the barcode, or you would scan or put in the serial number and you would register it. And then there was very complex stuff. But, I think part of that comes with challenges of digitalization, right? I think part of the problem is that these businesses are so antiquated, like their technology is so out of date that the thought of making a move is, as a business owner, I know this, like, it's like, oh my God, I have to migrate off of a CRM, or I have to migrate off of, going from Magento to BigCommerce. Like, they're not small migrations, these projects, right? So there's definitely challenges when it comes to digitalizations, modernizing technology, right? How do you, where do you start, right? So talk to me a little bit about kind of like good starting points, like the challenge you're seeing in digitalization. You talk to these brands all the time. You just spoke to a $1 billion company that's, moving 5 brands online with a whole B2B model. Like that takes a lot of planning, a lot of thoughts, a lot of discovery. And that's something I want to just kind of emphasize is like, these are not small migrations. These are huge infrastructure changes, but those infrastructure changes are going to have a massive impact, not just a year down the road, but for the next 10, 20, 30 years of your business. So.
Yeah, and you said this right at the beginning, Josh. You're going to hear the word foundation a lot, and it's about building that foundation. But before I get to that, I often see and find with the customers that we're talking to that they haven't spoken to their end buyers. And for me, it always starts with the buyer, sitting down with the buyer and understanding their jobs to be done, their buying process. Because, and this has happened with BigCommerce customers, and I promise you it has happened with customers across every single one of our competitor e-commerce providers. You build an e-commerce site and you think build it and they will come. You build it and they don't come and they don't start using it because they wanted to speak to the salesperson, and they're going to keep speaking to the salesperson because it was the better flow. That was how they operated. So how do you incentivize them on? Sorry, go on.
What's interesting is, so you just brought up the salespeople. Like, you talk about talking to the customer, but do you actually do people internally talk to their salespeople, right? Because it's a multi-sided, it's a two-sided coin, right? You have your customers that need to adopt this technology, but if your salespeople are not adopting technology, then you're already screwed, right? Like, you don't have the people internally championing, hey, Billy, we can do all of this stuff online now. You don't have to call me. Sure, we can have a chat for 10 minutes, shoot the shit, whatever, no problem. But I just wanted to add, I think it's really important that, like, getting the buy-in from your sales team and the people who are actually communicating with these vendors, I think, are really important.
It is so important. I'm so glad you called it. It is so, so, so important. And so I often say, start by thinking about your adoption strategy. It sounds so backwards, but start by thinking about how are you going to get customers, your buyers, to start using your online offering, whether that is just a product searching, whether that is all the way through to quoting and invoicing and everything in between. How are you going to ensure that this fits into their buyer workflow? And to your point, a key stakeholder in that is your sales team. Your sales team understand your customers better than anyone else. They're best buddies probably with some of them, right? They know how they operate. They know what they do on their weekends. They know the name of their kids. They can tell you how they buy, right? They will tell you. And if the sales team aren't saying, yes, we think we can get our customers to adopt this, but maybe there's an issue. Maybe in order to incentivize the customer, you're going to need to give them a discount online because I know that they love just being able to email me that spreadsheet.
That's how great, like, yeah.
It's true.
There's only two people in the world that I've ever faxed stuff to, and that's my doctor and the government of Canada. So,
but it's out there. The faxes still exist, Josh, and they are still being used. But that's the point. Your point is so spot on. Get that sales team aligned to the e-commerce and bring them in really, really early. Because if you don't, and they aren't aligned, and they start pushing back. It's actually really funny. I posted about this on LinkedIn yesterday. I said, are your sales team secretly wishing that your e-commerce project fails? Because there are sales teams out there that do.
Because they're worried they're going to be put out of a job, and that's not actually accurate. What you're doing is you're creating a tool, just like everyone says AI is going to put everyone out of a job. No, you're creating a tool that's going to help you do your job function better, right? And ultimately, that should be able to enable you to sell more and earn more money and higher commissions, right? So
exactly. You're not going to pick up the phone and answer the question, where's my order? Or can I pay that invoice as a salesperson? Now that's going to be automated. You can focus on upselling, cross-selling, finding new buyers, bringing those into the business. So, we got so far away from digitization there. So to bring it back, number one, start with your customer. Understand the workflow. Number two, sales team. Understand what are your sales team's pain points. Make sure they know that this project is beneficial to them, right? There are going to be benefits to the commissions that they can earn, the workflows that they currently are operating through, and have to operate through to be able to place an order, to be able to pay an invoice. But now we're getting onto digitizations. We've planned this out. We've got our stakeholders aligned. Do I have a digital catalog? It sounds so simple, but there are so many B2B businesses out there that do not have a digital catalog that is harmonized and unified across all of their products, which means they have different categorizations across those products. They aren't in a single system. There isn't a single source of truth. You have to start there. That's the point. You have to start there. And that can be a big lift. And that can sometimes take a long time if you're not getting digital assets from, if you're a distributor, your manufacturer, already. You're gonna have to source them.
Yeah, I think everything you said there is great, and like I think you just even see the first stat there is 52% of B2B buyers report being frustrated with online buying experiences, and that's goes to your point exactly. Is like, did you talk to your customer? Did you include them in the actual process? Like everyone has a top 10 customer group, right? These are the guys you go to, you send each other, bourbon on each other's birthday, you have a chat, right? You've been in business with them a long time. Go to these trusted buyers and vendors and have a one-off conversation with them saying, hey, we're looking at investing into this. This is what the experience is going to look like. What are your thoughts? And I mean, this is product-led growth 101, right? Like go talk to your customer base, right? It works whether you're doing a startup or it works whether you're a mature business investing in something like a B2B solution. So very good points. So now that we've discussed digitalization challenges, right, and we've said, okay, we have to work on the foundation, talk to your customers. Now it's all about omni-channel, right? Like now it's not just about one channel, right? Selling over phone or taking a PO. Like there are other ways that you can now be across multiple channels. And an example is we have actually this is not the yeah, this is the no, that's for next. My example was for the next one, but that's fine. But yeah, just talk to us a little about kind of the omni-channel approach, right? You know, you have your e-commerce store, but you have faxing, right? You have email, you have SMS, you have text messaging. People are putting in orders through WhatsApp flows now, right? Where do you start in the omni-channel approach?
Yeah, it's interesting. We started by showing a stat that showed online sales are increasing dramatically, which is true. Those offline sales that occur through the sales team are moving online, but that's not going to replace sales that occur in warehouse. It's not going to replace sales that occur through EDI, maybe through distributors. And there are lots more channels, marketplaces, et cetera, et cetera. Email, you mentioned it. And the way that we tell and we think about the e-commerce channel is as a unifier of these channels. So regardless of where an order originated, I should be able to view, update, track, amend, reorder, return, and pay the invoice for that order online. And that's really, really important, right? If I'm a manufacturer and I'm taking orders from my customers through EDI, that order should be visible online. Because if it's not, the sales team are 100% getting calls and being asked, where's my order?
Mm-hmm.
What's the tracking? Where's the shipment? Well, that should just all be visible online. And what you're doing is you're creating this seamless and frictionless experience of shopping across any of your channels and ensuring that data is visible online so that the customer, the buyer, can self-serve all of that information. You're trying to make the buying experience as seamless as possible, right?
Yeah.
And unified as possible. If I go into the warehouse, I should be able to say to the team at the warehouse, I actually placed an order online 4 days ago. I would like to buy those goods again. Can you just find that basket, the lumber that I was purchasing, or whatever it might be, nuts and bolts, and build the same basket for me? That should be easy. You
Well, it
should
is
be able to do that.
BigCommerce, so you just click a button, reorder, and it's done. So
Yes, exactly. And you've got 100 warehouses. Can I go online and see the inventory for each of those warehouses so I can will call, the B2B term for buy online, pick up in store? Can I do that on the site? Really important to just create this seamless experience, regardless of the channel. I should have all the information at my fingertips as the buyer to make the most informed decision about which channel I'm going to buy through, because I could go into a warehouse or I can have it delivered, how I'm going to have that shipment, where I'm going to have that shipment sent from, how much it's going to cost, the time for delivery, and everything in between. I like to say B2B was omni-channel before omni-channel was cool, because it's operated across so many channels. And what we're seeing now is unification and bringing those channels together, with online being, the linchpin for the self-servability for the buyers.
Yeah. It's funny you say linchpin. It's one of those words that's such a good word, but I never like pull out. So now I got that in my Rolodex. I'm going to be saying linchpin consistently. Thanks, Lance. Appreciate that. But no, it's just, I think to sum that all up, I mean, if you actually look at a psychology of buyers, there are a variety of different types of buyers, right? And going full omni-channel is actually super imperative to adapt to all these buyers. You have the navigators, the guys who just like to come in, navigate the site, look around. You have the individuals who use the search, or you have the individuals who come in and know exactly what they want. They know, I want lumber, 2x4, 8 feet, pressure treated, put in the basket, check out, right? Those are my favorite buyers. I'm kind of like that. Once I decide to buy something, I'm just ready to go. But I think you kind of summed it up really nicely of just like being able to adapt to all these different types of buying personas in a one unified experience that's not fragmented. It's a game changer for your companies. So moving along, I wanted to give a kind of an example of kind of like how do you improve margins, improving success. Like we have a brand, they're an apparel brand, and they're international all over the world. But one of the ways they actually uh, they use email to support majority of their B2B wholesaling purchases. And over 65% of their income comes from their email channel through wholesale. Like we basically every 2 weeks we do a product drop, sends out to all the different franchisees. They hop into there, go to a pick list, pick the items, portal, bingo, bango, they're done. And it's wild to see just how much revenue is created through a couple of emails through a B2B buying portal. But just kind of wanted to like bring that example up because I mean, email, what's super cool about email is it's not rented real estate. And I think that's what people forget when they're going in different channels like Meta or LinkedIn or Facebook or whatever it is. That's rented real estate. Whereas like something like email is not. So how do you improve margins? How do you improve success? You know, by investing in B2B.
Yeah, I think this is a really great topic and very timely. Regardless of employment levels in the US or in other places in the world, it is tough out there. And it is tough, especially in distribution. Slightly easier in manufacturing, but in distribution, margins are being compressed. We're seeing consolidation, M&A, lots of M&A in the space. Hopefully, listeners out there, you're the ones doing the buying or you're getting a good deal when being bought. But it is difficult. And so we're seeing businesses that are looking at what they already have and finding ways to optimize, finding ways to improve margin and to improve revenue within the customer base they have, or to expand that customer base, but without excessive overhead. They want to do it reasonably cheaply and they want to show ROI. And there are lots of different ways that you can do it. And we've got a few of them right listed on the slide. But if we think about payments, right? If you are a distributor who is selling on terms and you're giving 30-day terms, right, to your customers, and today they are posting you checks that take 10 days to arrive, and then they sit there and don't get cashed for another 4 days, then they've got a process. You've extended that 30 days potentially to 40 days, to 50 days. Well, speeding up your quote to cash is a great way to improve your margins. You can be earning on that cash instead of it sat in someone else's bank account. How can you do that? Well, you can move payments online. Let's bring payments online. Invoice payments, bring them into your e-commerce portal such that your buyers can see those invoices and pay them. Other ways to improve margins as well. Maybe you're accepting lots of credit cards today. Think about ACH. Or if you're accepting credit cards, think about L2, L3 credit card data. That's a bit of a mouthful of a term there, but where you're sharing more of your information with your credit card providers, and they're going to give you a discounted rate. We work with lots of providers out there and lots of customers who do just that on the BigCommerce platform. That can save you real money. Imagine saving even 20, 30 basis points on your credit card fees today. That might not be huge, but I can tell you, if you're a $100 million business and 10% of your business is coming through credit card, you're saving considerable money by making these small adjustments to the way that you're taking payments, the way you're offering terms, and it can be meaningful in the end. And often, as we're chatting with with prospects who are thinking about coming onto BigCommerce, the payment savings they can make and pay for their entire replatform. They effectively replatform for free because we can save them that money through the payment partners that we have, which is really interesting.
Yeah, no, I love it. It's such an amazing thing that you guys offer too. I know you guys offer like a payment audit as well. So you have an entire team that will literally go in, look at all of your different ways that you're accepting payments and look at how to optimize that. And the complimentary service that BigCommerce offers, right? So it's pretty wild. And having those micro adjustments and those improvements have can have such a lasting and impactful impact on the overall brand across the lifetime of your company. So
Y-
yeah, I mean, I do people even still do like the 2% like net 10, 2%, like because this I came from old school manufacturing back in the day, and like I'd always offer that, like, if you pay in 10 days, we'll give you 2% off kind of thing. Like, is that still a thing? Do people still do that? I don't know.
That's still happens. I still see it. Yeah, we definitely still see it happening. But one of the other areas, Josh, I think is really interesting. We're seeing a lot of at the moment amongst our customer base is kind of in two areas: cross sell, upsell,
Yeah.
and investing in new channels, but doing it very quickly and kind of trying to prove the ROI of that channel fast. So I'll give a few examples here from a kind of like cross sell upsell perspective. I mentioned the M&A that's happening, right? There are lots of companies out there, especially in mid market, that have a few brands. And we're seeing a real drive to cross sell the products from each of those brands into the customer base of each. Now, they may be doing it today through customer marketing, right? But marketing can be email marketing can be great, but open rates can be tough. Bounce rates, everything. Customer marketing can be hard to get that email opened and to incent an action. But if you cross-pollinate these product catalogs, I actually have those products on the different websites. You need to digitize your product catalog to make sure that can happen. Then you can start suggesting these products. Hey, you may have noticed that we're now selling brand B on brand A's website. You should check that out. I think that's really a really key way that you can drive improved revenue without the cost of acquisition of having to acquire new customers. Sell better into your base, convert better into your base with the products that you already have. Lots of businesses going down that route today and focusing on kind of cross-sell and upsell. And the other one, Josh, is opening new channels and testing new channels. I don't want a full-scale launch of a wholesale site, or I'm a manufacturer. I'm thinking maybe I should try direct to consumer. We're seeing a lot of that at the moment. Manufacturers who are thinking, I can capture more margin here if I go direct to consumer. Well, maybe they start just by selling on marketplaces. Just going to sell on Amazon. I'm going to sell on Walmart. I'm going to sell on Target here in the US, right? Let's just list on those marketplaces and start selling. I can use maybe Fulfilled by Amazon because I'm selling pallets. We've got an example of a manufacturer of sinks on BigCommerce. They sell, pallets of sinks, huge crates. Well, they ship them off to Amazon, and Amazon unpackages them for them, right? And then it's perfect. It's perfect. They couldn't handle that themselves. They ship that off to Amazon, and Amazon is then going to help them. They're now testing that channel out reasonably inexpensively, spinning up a store. This particular manufacturer spun up a store on BigCommerce in 2 months. That's how quickly they got live to be able to test that direct-to-consumer channel and start to show progress. And the opposite is also true. I know we're talking here about B2B, but we are seeing so many B2C brands who are going wholesale, right? Cost of customer acquisition is high in B2C. We can get into data privacy changes, all of that wonderful stuff. But as that cost of acquisition goes up, it's harder to get new customers onto your site. Well, let's start selling wholesale, right? I'm manufacturing my own products. I'm selling D2C. I build a wholesale channel. Do it fast, do it quickly, create that wholesale site, and suddenly you can be found, right? A great way to start selling in a new channel and increasing revenue without some of it's never been cheaper to do that because of e-commerce and because of the technologies available.
I love the approach of cross-selling and upselling, especially like I even saw recently, I came back from Shop Talk, and there's all these apps and tools now where you can actually like pull other brands in and display them on your shopping cart, right? So it's like, hey, this merchant or this particular customer who bought this product, also we know that went to this site and bought this product, right? Or we didn't even talk about personalization, right? If you understand your customer and their buying journey, and you know if they buy a kitchen sink, they're going to need a faucet, right? Very simple. Faucets don't actually come with sinks, by the way. You still have to buy them separately, right? So now all of a sudden, if you know that, well, this sink can come with these three options, and this one was the most relatable one, and this one, we have the most amount of in stock, you may want to push this one. Or, hey, you know what, this is going to be discontinued in a month. We want to discount it and get that out the floor so we don't have to carry the inventory anymore. Right now, that's a personalization approach. I love the talk about going omni-channel on Amazon. Like, FBA is expensive, but that might just be a marketing channel for you. I was in Las Vegas last week and was walking with my business partner, and we're just like, how does it make any sense for any of these stores to have a physical location in Las Vegas? Like, the rent must be through the roof. And it's like, I don't know, they had a Versace store or whatever it was, or a Louis Vuitton, and I'm like, how many purses do you need to sell to cover the rent on one of those locations? And it's like, well, it's not. It's a marketing cost, right? And that could be, Amazon could be a channel for your marketing, right? Just being available, being known that you actually offer these types of products in different channels could be massive. And customer cost and cost per acquisition right now is very high. So any ways that you can kind of cheat the system a little bit definitely helps. So I know we're kind of running out of time because we talk a lot. So this is what happens when Lance and I get out of the room. We just jabber. So if you were to give some advice, right? And I think you've already been giving lots of really good advice, but like, what are the top three things brands can do today to start taking the action of getting online for B2B, right? We talked about foundation. What are the next steps that have to happen?
Yeah, sure. So we kind of spoke a lot about the foundation. Understand your buyer journey. We covered that. Build and understand your sales team as well. Let's not forget the sales team. Make sure that they're along for the journey. Start to build your foundation, digitizing your product catalog. Right? If it isn't digitized today, get it digitized, and either into a kind of PIM or some kind of system that can, product information management system, a system that can handle the complexity of your products. B2B can often be complex. In automotive, you've got ACEs and PIs and year, make, and model, and so much more to it. Can it handle all of
it? Data.
Yes, it's always fun when you're getting into the realm of the data, to understand the data and ensure that you're capturing it and it's correct and it's accurate. And then the next step is your ERP and your other foundational systems, are they ready for the leap into digital, right? So does your ERP connect into your proposed e-commerce solution? And that sounds crazy to probably a lot of listeners who are a little bit younger, but there are ERPs that are so niche in a specific vertical that are just for HVAC, have been around for 30 years, and are not. They're on-prem. They don't have APIs. You can't just connect a BigCommerce in, and you need some help from someone like an Arctic Leaf who can help you connect these systems, or you got to upgrade. Right. So we're still now foundation built. Okay. Let's not go and attack the world from day one. Let's crawl. Let's walk. Let's run. Let's get our products up there. Let's just get our products online. And I was talking to a mid-market business doing a good $30 to $50 million total, manufacturer of antennas for emergency vehicles. They did not want to start transacting online. They're going to start with quotes. They just got their products online, searchable, findable, but let's build that top of funnel. You were talking about using Amazon as top of funnel as a marketing tactic. They want to build the top of funnel. Let's accept quote requests. We're not going to respond online, but quote requests online. They have grown since going online on BigCommerce. I think it was 6, 7, 8 months ago now. The number of quotes coming through online growing above 50% month on month. Incredible what you can do when you get your products online, SEO optimized, and you've got your search terms perfect. Because those people that are searching for your product, they know exactly what to type in. And if it's not a saturated market, just SEO will do. And you can start having that success. Then when you're ready, turn on that transaction, the cart, and the transaction piece, and you're good to go. You'll start saving your sales team's time of reviewing those quotes and processing POs, etc. And then you can start flying and running from there as you move more and more of the pieces of the complexity and the complex buying processes online. Start simple, but then
It's so
scale.
wild. I always find it so interesting. There's just literally there's a product for everything. Like it's just it, during COVID, I remember this guy came to us and he was selling ping pong paddles, right? Normally does 5, 10 orders a day of ping pong paddles. But when there was nothing to do, his orders spiked over 500 orders a day, right? And I just find it so interesting that there's literally a product or a vertical or a niche for everything. Like some guys selling 30 to 50 million a year online, selling antennas for emergency vehicles. Like, how do you even get into that? Like,
Yeah,
it's just, but it's just so interesting to hear that just all they did was just request a quote. And then the next step is like, okay, now we're doing quotes, but now you can actually transact those quotes online. Right. Maybe it's not even like going through like a shopping cart process, but it's, you convert the quote into an invoice and now they just go online, click a button, hook their bank up, and next thing you know, you have money in your bank 24 hours later. Right.
exactly. Start simple. Start simple with the processes. It doesn't have to be complicated. You don't have to shoot for the world from day one. And just a quick story. I love this story. We have a bulk bookstore seller on BigCommerce. Their average order value is about $1,500. They weren't online before coming on BigCommerce. It was about 8 months ago. They send an email to our director of product that just says, we've just come in on Monday morning and we have found an order through BigCommerce for $1 million. They weren't online. They would never have received that order. They just were searching. The customer was searching for bulk bookstore distributors. They found them and they placed the order. In fact, the customer complained on the order note. They complained, I couldn't figure out how to pay for this now because I need these
Wow.
books. How can I pay you faster? Amazing.
That's it's I think, guys, we're talking for 45 minutes and Lance is giving you like 10 stories as to why you should be going online in a B2B model, right? Just a wealth of knowledge this man has. So we always like to open it up to kind of the audience. I think we have a couple of questions that came in before the session. Is that right, Katie?
We do. We're at the end of our time. We can answer a question, but we do post the recap where we will.
Let's do one.
We'll do one. Okay. So what are the B2B e-commerce market projections for the rest of 2024 specifically, looking at this year?
Ooh. Is this what do we think is going to happen throughout the year? What do we think is going to be the trends? I like that question. We've got through 45 minutes. We haven't mentioned AI.
I mentioned it a couple of times. So
Okay. Yes, you're right. But we didn't talk about it in context of B2B. I think there's going to be some really, some very interesting moves in AI. We're looking at some at BigCommerce. We're building AI quoting, AI product recommendations. We already have AI product descriptions being written. I think we're going to see a lot happening in that space across the board for B2B. AI can assist at so many places in that buying journey, assist the sales team in so many areas that I think by the end of the year, we're going to have seen, folks like BigCommerce and our competitors releasing more and more features and functionality in that space that are just going to make the job of the seller much easier to personalize the experience for the buyer. So that's kind of the trend that I'm looking at and watching. I kind of mentioned the other one, which is consolidation. We're seeing lots of consolidation in the space, and I think that's going to continue.
yeah, we're definitely seeing consolidation. I love your answer on the AI side of things because, even just the tools we use on a day-to-day basis, whether it's a CRM, project management software, all of them are investing in ways to improve efficiencies with AIs, like using HubSpot as an example. Like you can write an entire email thread, just giving it a topic, and it'll just come out with everything. And it'll actually look at historical communication and all that kind of stuff. So, but Lance, oh my God, thank you so much. I really appreciate this. I learned a whole bunch of new stuff. This is why I do this, because I get an opportunity to get all this really amazing advice from really, really, really smart people. So really, really thank you for your time today. Couple of housekeeping items. So we do send out a survey after this. We'd love to hear your feedback. How was the topic? How was Lance's smile? Did he do a good job? No, I'm just kidding. But just how was how was the OnTap session? Was it educational? Was it informative? We're always looking to improve. We're never satisfied. We always want to improve on efficiency and improve on just the type of content and being a thought leader. And then if you do fill out our survey, Arctic Leaf is giving out a complimentary user experience audit. So for those of you who don't know, we are a BayMart certified agency. So what that means is 5 people at our company have completed this BayMart certification. BayMart is the gold standard when it comes to e-commerce best practices. So we would do a complimentary audit. We provide you a PDF. We give you kind of the high level overview of, hey, here are things that are broken and here's what you could do to fix it and overall improve retention and conversion rate, right? So it's normally, it's actually a paid service, so you're getting it completely for free. With that, I want to raise my watermelon sparkling water over here and say thank you to Lance again. I really appreciate it. This was super informative. Thank you so much for your time. He's definitely someone who time is not a commodity for this man. So I really appreciate it. And with that, I say salut. Thank you very much. L'chaim. And appreciate everyone from tuning in. All the best.
Thank you, Josh. It's been great.
Absolutely.